You're not unhappy. Nothing is wrong. And yet something feels missing. Life looks fine from the outside. You get up. You function. You do what needs to be done. But inside, something feels muted. Flat. Distant. You don't feel deeply upset. You don't feel deeply joyful. You just feel less. And that's what makes this so confusing. Because when nothing is obviously wrong, you start turning the question inward. What's wrong with me? Why don't I feel more? Why does everything feel slightly unreal? This is emotional numbness. And it's far more common than people admit. Not the dramatic kind. Not the kind that stops your life. The quiet kind. The kind that lets you function while slowly disconnecting from yourself. Carl Jung encountered this state again and again in his clinical work. People came to him not in crisis, but in confusion. They weren't falling apart. They were holding it together too well. They described lives that were orderly, respectable, stable, and yet they felt inwardly empty, as if something essential had gone silent. Carl Jung understood something most people miss. Numbness is not a failure of the psyche. It is a strategy. When the psyche is exposed to repeated emotional strain, disappointment, or unexpressed conflict, it adapts. Not by collapsing, but by dampening. Just as the body numbs physical pain when it becomes overwhelming, the psyche can turn down emotional intensity in order to survive. This is not something you decide. It happens quietly, gradually, often without you noticing. At first, you feel less upset, then less excited, then less engaged, eventually, less alive. Carl Jung observed that when emotions are not allowed expression, they do not disappear. They retreat into the unconscious. And the unconscious does not speak in words. It speaks through symptoms. Fatigue, emptiness, loss of vitality, a sense of distance from your own life. One of Carl Jung's patients came to him complaining of a vague inner deadness. He had no major trauma, no obvious psychological disorder. His life was socially successful. But through analysis, Carl Jung discovered that this man had spent decades suppressing his emotional responses in order to remain composed, reliable, and acceptable. Anger was never expressed. Sadness was minimized. Desire was restrained. Over time, the psyche solved the problem by shutting down the emotional system altogether. Not dramatically, efficiently. This is why numbness so often appears in people who are capable, responsible, strong. The ones who adapted early, the ones who learned to manage themselves. You didn't lose your feelings. You learned to contain them. And containment, over time, comes at a cost. Carl Jung called this over-adaptation to the outer world the dominance of the persona. The persona isn't fake. It's necessary. It allows us to function in society, to belong, to survive. But when you live only through it, something else is neglected. Your inner life. Your spontaneous responses. Your emotional truth. The psyche can tolerate this imbalance for a while, but not indefinitely, so it compensates. When expression is blocked, sensation is muted. When conflict is avoided, vitality decreases. When authenticity feels unsafe, numbness feels protective. This is why life can look fine while feeling empty. You're doing what's expected. You're meeting responsibilities. You're performing competence. But the parts of you that feel, that want, that protest, that long, they are waiting. Carl Jung believed that what is denied consciousness does not vanish. It forms what he called complexes, clusters of emotional energy stored outside awareness. These complexes hold vitality, and when that vitality remains unconscious, it becomes unavailable to you. So you feel drained, flat, disconnected. Not because you are lazy, not because you lack gratitude, but because your energy is tied up in containment. If this is speaking to something inside you, pause for a moment. Tap the like button so this message reaches someone else who needs it. Then come back. We're not done. This is also why rest doesn't restore you. Rest helps physical fatigue. It does not release emotional suppression. You can sleep well and still wake up feeling empty. You can take time off and still feel unchanged. Because the issue is not exhaustion from doing too much. It's exhaustion from holding too much inside. Carl Jung noticed that many of his patients improved not when they tried to fix themselves, but when they allowed previously disowned emotions to surface safely. Not explosively, not dramatically, but consciously. Feeling returns slowly, in layers. Often the first feeling to return isn't joy, it's discomfort. Because numbness is a shield. And when the shield lowers, sensation comes back. This is why healing can feel unsettling at first. Because numbness, however empty, feels stable. Feeling again feels unpredictable. But Carl Jung was clear. The psyche seeks wholeness, not comfort. Numbness is a pause, not an endpoint. It's the psyche saying, I cannot continue like this without acknowledgement. You're not broken for feeling this way. You're not ungrateful. You're not failing at life. Your system adapted to survive. And now it's asking to be heard. The mistake many people make is trying to force feeling back through motivation, stimulation, or productivity. That only deepens the shutdown. Feeling doesn't return through pressure. It returns through safety, through permission, through listening. Carl Jung emphasized approaching the inner world with curiosity rather than judgment. The unconscious opens when it feels welcomed, not demanded. So if you feel numb, the invitation isn't to fix yourself. It's to notice. Notice when you go quiet. Notice what you avoid feeling. Notice which emotions you learned were too much. Anger, sadness, desire, longing. These aren't problems. They're signals. And what feels empty is often full of trapped energy. If this reflection resonates with you, consider subscribing. Not for numbers, but so we can continue exploring these inner landscapes together. This numbness isn't the end of your emotional life. It's a transition. A protective phase that once kept you functioning, and is now gently asking for integration. Thank you for being here with me. Take care of your heart. And may love always guide your path.